Iran on Tuesday unveiled what it called a hypersonic missile during a press conference that aired on Iranian state television. The general who spoke at the unveiling claimed the missile can travel up to 870 miles and that there's no system capable of countering it. The brazen public display comes as Iran continues to fund its weapon development program, in large part through its sale of oil. And now a pair of congressmen have introduced a bipartisan bill targeting those involved in Iran's oil exports with sanctions. And they both join us now. Democratic Congressman Jared Moskowitz of Florida and Republican Congressman Mike Lawler of New York. Congressman Lawler, I'll start with you. What exactly will this bill do?
Well, Mika, it imposes sanctions on anyone who owns or operates a refinery, a ship, or a port that transports Iranian oil. Iran is part of an axis of evil that we have seen with respect to China, North Korea, and Russia. And they have been obviously focused on destroying the state of Israel. This most recent announcement, obviously, the threat is very clear, what they are seeking to do. And they have been funding terrorism and their nuclear weapons program through the exports of oil. And so this would impose sanctions on anyone who helps them in that effort. And it's critically important that we stop what they are doing, both in terms of funding terrorism and their weapons programs.
Congressman Moskowitz, you're here in a bipartisan fashion. Is there bipartisan support for the bill?
Yeah, thanks, Mika. No, there is bipartisan support for the bill. I mean, there is still a lot of bipartisan support up here on the Hill when it comes to foreign policy. This is an issue that is not just about, the Middle East politics and obviously the state of Israel, but it's all about what's happening also in the Ukraine war, because as we know, Iran has been making drones that the Russians are using in the Ukraine war. So Iran is a destabilizing force in the region, and this will expand current sanctions on them. This is going to mainly attack China, because that's who's buying a lot of this oil from Iran, and that's how they're funding all of this together.
And Congressman Lawler, your colleague there just set up my question here. Tell us the impact of China. We know there are very few things right now that bring together Republicans and Democrats on the Hill, but China is one of them. There's been real concern voiced by both parties about their growing influence. So tell us a little bit more about the impact this could have, directly or indirectly, on Beijing.
Well, China is our greatest geopolitical foe, and obviously there has been broad bipartisan support with respect to taking on China, creating the select committee on the competition between the Chinese Communist Party and the United States. But look, as I said, they are in cahoots with North Korea, with Iran, with Russia. And just look what they did recently with Saudi Arabia and bringing them to the table with Iran. Their entire intent is to undermine the United States and our allies in the region and around the globe. And so anything that we can do to impose stricter sanctions, make it more difficult for Iran, make it more difficult for China and Russia, in what they are doing to destabilize the region and our allies is critically important. And so this is a step in the right direction. It enjoys bipartisan support, not just in the House, but in the Senate. Marco Rubio, Maggie Hassan are carrying the bill there. And we want to see this move through Foreign Affairs. We're both on that committee. And to the House floor for a vote as expeditiously as possible. So,
Mike, I know you have the next question, but just some news about China real quick. China and Cuba have reached a secret agreement for China to establish an electronic eavesdropping facility on the island. The Wall Street Journal, citing U.S. officials familiar with highly classified intelligence, reports the facility would allow Chinese intelligence services to scoop up electronic communications throughout the southeastern U.S., where many military bases are located, and monitor U.S. ship traffic. China has agreed to pay cash-strapped Cuba several $billions to allow it to build the eavesdropping station and that the two countries have reached an agreement in principle. This, of course, is according to the paper. Mike.
Well, as if they're not doing enough surveillance already internally in the United States. Congressman Moskowitz, on the shipping aspect of this bill, is there anything to the fact that it seems it's difficult to track ships these days? There are ghost ships out there who report they're in one location and yet they're actually in another location around the globe. Is that part of the dilemma here with regard to shipping Iranian oil, finding the ships who are being used to ship the oil?
Yeah, no, great question. It's part of the dilemma, but that's why this is also going after the processing facilities, because this oil has to be processed into petroleum. So by going after the processing facilities with additional sanctions there, that's one way to stopgap. But look, no doubt, obviously, every time we put in sanctions, they try to figure out a way around it. That's why we're trying to close the gap on this one from the previous sanctions that currently they're trying to work around.
So, Congressman Lawler, we want to ask you about the dynamics right now in your party in the House of Representatives. As you know, there's about a dozen members of the far-right members of your party, those made in the Freedom Caucus, who are in open rebellion right now against the speakership, unable to get bills to the floor. What does this say to you? What's your read on what's going on? And are you concerned that Kevin McCarthy's grip on his post may be endangered?
No, I'm not concerned about the speakership. I think Speaker McCarthy has been continually underestimated throughout the course of the first 6 months here and has done a very good job advancing legislation through the House. I think my colleagues need to recognize, as I said back in January when we had the Speaker vote, the vast majority of our conference is unified. And we will continue to hold firm. We're not going to be overrun by a handful of folks. You have to work as colleagues. You have to work in good faith. And I think when they get over their little temper tantrum, they need to show up to do their job come Monday, because I will be here to do mine, and that's what I expect of all of my colleagues that were elected to represent the people of this country.
All right, Republican Congressman Mike Lawler of New York and Democratic Congressman Jared Moskowitz of Florida. Thank you very much for being on this morning. We appreciate it.